Good evening, everyone. This is Pradeep, Ambassador of Change from GETI, the Global Education and Training Institute from Lucknow. We have several in-service and pre-service programs. And for more information, please go to 7408401000. Right now, you are on our disruptive education platform provided to us by our mentor, Dr. Sunita Gandhi. And on this platform, we have met with and interacted with more than 1,450 educators from India and all over the world. And this evening, we have for you Ms. Mahima Sindhi. She is a soft skills and verbal ability coach and founder, MMDU and LEARNOGRAM, Rajpura, Patiala, Punjab. She is an organized, detail oriented, and conscientious self starter with more than 5 years of training and industry experience. She is the founder of a dream startup named LearnoGram, which aims to empower, engage, and enlighten the reason for one's being, with its motto to break the cocoon and let the butterfly in one bloom and fly high in the sky. Very poetic. It aims to make the learners industry ready and help them stand out in the crowd, both professionally and personally. The platform provides a wide spectrum of goalposts ranging from spoken English, art of expression, and confidence building, industry ready skills and personal grooming, GD oblique, PI, CV building, digital presence, etc. She has been associated with renowned education institutes like the Chitkara University, the lovely professional university, and the Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be university. As a soft skills and verbal ability coach, she has a master's in English honors from the Punjab University, Chandigarh. She is a certified trainer from ISTD Delhi, MEPSC, on the National Skill Development Corporation, and a Dale Carnegie Lifetime Coach. She holds a proven track record and having worked with multiple clients across the industry and has accomplished her projects with timeliness and a touch of creativity. This evening, she's going to be speaking to you on the leader in you. So, good evening, ma'am. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a warm introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all are doing absolutely well. So, let us talk about the cause for today, that is finding the leader in you as a part of the disruptive education platform that I've got from Getty. Thank you so much for providing such a great opportunity. So, let's get straight into the presentation. I will start talking about the presentation. Sir, just a confirmation, is everybody able to see my slides? All right. So, talking about the leader in you as the biggest part of the disruptive education, and why I thought about this topic is I think leadership is going times and beyonds, and it is covering spaces from time immemorial to today. I think finding the leader in you is something that is very important. It is not something wherein you are just representing a company or a group, it is even about heading your family. So when it comes to personal and professional places, I think finding the leader in you is the utmost cause and of utmost importance. So talking about 10 characteristics of a great leader. So what are those 10 characteristics that are of very, very importance in terms of being a great leader? The first out of that is integrity. It is very, very important for you to hold a lot of integrity and trust and that clarity of thought as to why do you want to do what you want to do. Then comes the ability to delegation. So they say for one to be a great leader, the person has to be a great team player. And for you to be one, so you can be a great leader if you know how to be a great team player, because collaboration and forming alliances in today's scenario is something that is the key. And delegation is not an easy job. So the other day I was talking to a fellow member wherein I was talking about how to go about delegation. It's not that easy. It's not easy to trust anybody wherein you are a person who's a perfectionist, or you hold a skill, or you hold a forte. So it's not easy to delegate the tasks. But for a great leader, it is important to hold the ability to delegate. And then comes the third skill, that is communication. Communication is the key, we all know. In today's scenario, if you cannot communicate your message across, I think you cannot stand out, and it is important for you to convey the right kind of message in the right tone, in the right ability. So it is important for you to have communication, and communication has two parameters: the verbal bit and the non-verbal bit. Verbal is of course about having excellency in the language. English, we all know, is a global language today. So having an excellency in communication in terms of the verbal bit is definitely important, but I think along with that, it is also important for you to excel in the non-verbal body language. Today we all know, since COVID, everything has turned online. I think work from home scenario was the culture of foreign countries, but now India has very well adapted and integrated the remote learning environments as well, and other remote learning, remotely serving places as well. So non-verbal body language comes to a key there, because right now if you see me being projected on your screens, if I'm not in the right non-verbal communication, I will not be able to convey what I'm wanting to convey in the right manner. So, communication is the key for one to be a great leader. With that comes self awareness, being aware of your own self, diving into your own ocean of self possibilities, and knowing what all are you capable of is something that is really important. If you do not know yourself, how do you project that people will get to know you? So let's say you're going for an interview. You want to tell the person that you have XYZ 10 such skills, and why should the other person believe in you? If you do not know yourself, if you do not have that self confidence, that faith in oneself, how can you get the other person to know you? So self awareness is definitely very, very important. With that, we come to the fifth skill, that is gratitude. They say gratitude is the best attitude. So having gratitude for people who work with you, or for people whom you work with or are associated with in terms of any stakeholder that could possibly be, or a family member, or for your own self, gratitude and that key for thankfulness is very, very important. So gratitude is the best attitude for sure. Then comes the sixth trait, that is learning agility. The adaptability to learn in this fast changing trend is something that is very important. So having that agility, having that inquisitiveness, having that adaptability, having that openness to constructive feedback or otherwise is very, very important. With that comes the seventh trait, that is influence. If you can make a mark on the other person, that will take you to places no matter what. So we all know, they say first impression is the last impression. If you can have that influence on the other person, where the other person remembers you for any one particular USP of yours, that means you have had a great influence. That means you can become a great leader. Coming to the eighth trait that we have, that is empathy. So they say today the times are not about being sympathetic, yet being empathetic. So let's say there is a physically abled person in my classroom or in my team. If I am being sympathetic towards that person, instead I am lowering down the morale of that person. Yet if I am empathetic to the person, I'm uplifting that person and telling that it is okay to be different, and yet you are a normal individual, you're a normal human being. So empathy, wherein you can step into the other person's shoes and understand and realize what they are facing and why are they voicing it out, is important. With that comes the ninth trait, that is courage. Being courageous today is very, very important. If you have that risk taking ability, or if you have that faith, be it in your own self or in the project that you're investing yourself into, or the time or the resources or your team members, having that vision, and if you have that faith, if you have that courage, it is something that can take you to places. And the last trait that we have, that comes as a part, that is respect. Respect for others, respect for your own self. Because if you do not respect people, if you do not hold that respect for what people have done to be there at a place which is equivalent to you, I think it can't be a great team. And even if, despite what kind of a leader you could be, you cannot take your team, you cannot lead your pack, you cannot be that wolf, right? So these are those 10 characteristics of being a great leader. So they say a leader is a one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So, the four fundamental core leadership skills for every career, I think we've almost covered everything. So, reiterating something from that: self awareness, understanding your behavior's impact on organizational outcomes. So, you would have to, have this thing clear in your mind, that it is not just your individual perspectives or your individual goals, but the organizational goals as well, and these have to be aligned for utmost clarity. Then we talk about communication, effective communication, and effectively communicate goals and inspire trust. Then we talk about influence. It is okay, and you have to be very, very comfortable when it comes to persuading people, promoting, and delegating tasks. So that influence can only happen if you have that trust as the foundation stone for any relationship to, take leads. And then we talk about learning agility, wherein it's about knowing when to change course and help others to do so as well. So it is like you are somebody who's adaptable, you are somebody who's flexible, wherein you can tweak your own self and others as the need be.
Ma'am,
Yes.
your PPT, yeah, is not really, yeah, moving now. Okay. It's okay, ma'am.
So, talking about the need of leadership as a core skill in the 20 years. So, last decade, leaders in profession were majorly outsourced. And in the current scenario, more than employees, the companies need leaders and leadership as a core skill. So, when we talk about a timeline, so year 2002, the need of the leaders was mainly sourced from external agencies on periodical basis to streamline the system, because back then we thought that maybe we can't be the biggest question that we have is leadership a born trait or is it an acquired trait? So is it innate or acquired? The question always remains. I believe it is both. Some are, not everybody is born with a silver spoon, yet I believe some people are born with those kind of skills within themselves. It is about nourishing those skills, and some who are not leaders can acquire the trait with the passage of time when they put themselves into situation and can be born as situational leaders. So from 2002 to 2007 and 2012, there was a clear transition in the requirements of companies. And in that requirement, the company was very visible with leadership skills at the center of major job profiles. So companies started looking for a skill which was leadership. So leadership started taking, bounds wherein they understood that they're not going to outsource this from an XYZ company. They want, people with that innate talent in themselves, and leadership became a skill as a part of the JDs and the JRs. Then from 2012 to 2018 and in the current year 2022, companies would extensively invest only into HR, which would have the capacity to lead teams from day one. So everybody today, I think the first thing that is asked is, are you a great leader? Or if you do not possess a leadership experience from the past, can you become a situational leader? I think that is something that is looked up to very, very seriously, and I think it acquires the top note of the 5 skills that a company is looking for, be it any position. Even if you're going for an internship project, even if you're going for a life project, even if you are switching roles, I think leadership has always been the key. And if you actually look back, even in your school, while you were getting educated, so even in those schools there are certain roles you start getting to, be chosen as the class representative, a class rep, or a monitor, or let's say a school captain, a football captain, a class prefect. So all, what do you think are all those are leadership roles. So moving on to the next talk that we have about the percentage of HR saying that they have strong bench to fill leadership roles. 2012, they said it was an 18% bench that they had, and the numbers are declining if you see. So 2014, it dipped down to 15%. 2017, it was 14%. And year 2020, it was only 11%. So the bench to fill leadership roles are decreasing. Why? Because the companies today are looking for leaders and leadership as a skill in every role possible. To whatever role that you fall in the hierarchy system, it is an utmost need that you own leadership skills and leadership traits, and you know how to practically imply that as well. So the numbers are pretty evident. Talking about the leader in you, so there can be 3 ways how you can be fitting into the leadership profile and how you should exercise leadership as a part of your own personality. The first one is leading the organization. So about leading the organization, the first one is aligning the organization. So aligning your individual goals with the organizational goals, as I mentioned, is something that is of utmost important. Then providing strategic orientation. Today, the BDs and the strategists today, they offer such solutions. So everybody today is solution driven and solution centering and not problem centric. We all know there are problems. Who doesn't have problem? Be it your personal place or your professional space or otherwise. I think problems are always there. But then just talking about XYZ are the problems and we can't do a certain task, I think that's not the way out. You have to be critical thinkers wherein you know how to think on the feet. And for that, you have to provide strategies and you have to orient with different plans. Those are solution driven. And then it is about managing tensions. Stress, the organization is under pressure. How do you channelize that? How do you get a solution to that is something when it comes to leadership roles in organization. Then we move to a second part to it, that is leading people. So you can be a pack of, let's say, 2 people, 5 people, 10, 20, 30, and whatnot. The companies and the scalability that they offer is a different number altogether. So when we talk about human resource, so those are a great asset to the company, and having the right person to lead the pack is also of utmost important. So so taking responsibilities of the people that you have in your team and aligning your thought process with their thought process, wherein you're open to ideas, you're open to new thoughts, you respect what they have to offer and what they bring to the table. Channelizing, wherein you keep all those 5 10 options that you have in with it with you, cutting out all those that can't really be worked out, and then coming to the best solution is the key, and that is what a leader should possess. And empowering people, you have to empower people and not just put them down. It is important for you to empower them. So a leader has to empower them. You can't put them down. You have to boost their morale. You can't be the only reason who just follows that stick and carrot approach, and then there is no growth that is happening in people. And then we come about leading yourself. So the first one is self reflection, wherein you reflect upon your own self, what you are doing, why you are doing, and the purpose. So it's like I say, there's a Japanese term called ikigai, that is finding the reason for one's being. So it is about that self respect, reflection, and that self introspection, wherein you look up to yourself and it's a mirror image of what you are doing, whether it is right, wrong, or there is a change of path that is required. Then we talk about decision strength, thinking on the feet, quick decision making, and then we talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, wherein you have ideas, you have innovation, and then you are the first one to take that initiative. And then we talk about open mindedness. Open mindedness again is very very important, like we were talking in the beginning as well. Adaptability, flexibility, and being open to change. If you are somebody who's not flexible, how will you adapt to the changing trends and the technology? The industry is taking shape to another trend, technology is booming like how. So it is important for you to have an open minded approach. So moving about the 6 trends shaping the future of leadership for 2030. So the 6 trends that are taking a leadership future for the year 2030 that we project 8 years from today. Artificial intelligence and technology is going to grow. So one has to be okay with technology as a part. You cannot say, oh, this is technology, I'm not a tech savvy person, so sorry, this is not my cup of tea. You have to make it your cup of tea or coffee, because technology is going to take the future, and AI is going to surpass HI. I'm not saying that human intelligence is going to wash out, but then AI is going to be the new future. So you have to be okay with the technology. Pace of change. So the trends, that the way they are changing. So if you can't be a slow learner, and you can't be somebody who is not very flexible in terms of the changes that happen. You have to match the pace of the change, because only then can you lead the pack. Even if, let's say, you are in a particular vertical in a company, or a particular vertical in the industry or the economy, the market. So you have to be the leader of those 10 competitive brands that you have. You can't be the follower, because by the time you follow, or by the time you adapt to the changing technology, or by the time you adapt to the changing requirement of the customers or the market, I think it will be too late. Then we talk about new talent landscape. So opening yourself to different horizons, being open to whatever is happening, picking up, you know learning it, and then putting it to use is something that is important. So new talent landscape has to open up. Purpose and meaning, there has to be a very clear purpose and meaning of what you are doing and why you are doing, because until unless you have that purpose, that goal. So we used to study back in those initial years of our education, that There always and always is supposed to, you're supposed to have a goal. So that purpose and meaning is very, very important. Then we talk about the morality, ethics, and transparency. You have to hold your roots very high. You have to be ethical in terms of the business that you are associated with, and transparency is the key. The moment you start forging facts, I think when people start vouching for you, you will lose your credit worthiness, and then people won't trust you, and gaining that back and bouncing back, I think it's not an easy game today. And then comes to globalization. So businesses are expanding, they're going global, they're crossing all the geographical locations. So globalization and adapting to the economy and the world and how it's changing is important for one to be a successful leader in the coming future. So there has been an observational analysis by Center for Creative Leadership, and the observational analysis says that the leadership gap that we have today. So today's leadership capacity is insufficient to meet the future requirements. There is a huge gap that does exist between how we are learning and how we are educating and what does the industry need. So the gap has to be fulfilled. So the four most important future skills are amongst the weakest competencies for today's leaders. I mean, we after a degree, we are focusing on the degree oriented, the degrees that we are getting, right? But technically, are we efficient enough to put that to practical implication for whatever we are requiring in terms of education? I believe there is a big question mark there itself. Even for me, if I've studied XYZ degrees, I'm not too sure if I've been able to put that 100% to practical use. So education system is changing, and the need of the hour is to convert your weakest competencies into your strongest competencies, because that is what the world today needs. So inspiring commitment is something that is a lagged trait in today's graduates and the what the industry is producing today. And we need those people who are committed and who do not shy commitment. So they usually say the youth is somebody who fears commitment. I think we need to change that, wherein you're not scared of commitment. Then leading employees. So you have to become those leading employees. A, you can be in leadership roles. B, you can be somebody who becomes a situational leadership as per the demand of the situation. Then we talk about strategic planning. That is again important. And then change management. Change management in itself is a whole new horizon, and today the world needs that. So, talking about different styles of leadership, I think this is something that these are the most commonly sorted styles of leadership: the autocratic leader, the delegative leader, and the democratic leader. And a combination of these, if you see the common part here, is something that is called the perfect leadership. I would not say any particular style is a great style of leadership. I think it's a mix and match. And as per the demand of the situation, you have to tweak in accordingly. Like we said, adaptability. So, leadership style types, the first is the autocratic, also known as the authoritative style. So, the leader says his or her subordinates do X and they have to follow that. So, that is the rule. So, my way or highway, there is no going here and there. That is the autocratic style of leadership. Then we come to laissez-faire or autocracy, wherein the leader tells you do X or Y as you see fit. There's a choice that is given, but the choice is very limiting. The subordinates have to choose whether this or that or this, but there is no fourth invention or fourth idea that the leader is open to. And then we come to the democratic style of leadership, also known as autonomy. Which is best, X or Y? So the subordinates can apply their minds and choose whether X is Y or Y is Y, basis the pros and the cons, and that is how they can make a choice. So moving to a quick little description about these three types of leadership styles. Authoritarian or autocratic leadership, it's a completely top to down approach. So the hierarchy goes in the downward direction. It is more of a showcase of authority. So you see Hitler as a great example here. So authority is something that is being portrayed in such kind of leadership, only and only target oriented. So XYZ company says, the sale department says, or the company says, our target is to fetch 50% of sales this year. So there is no other way, and that's the only way that has been suggested by the organization. So everybody starts working in that similar manner. 50% of the sale, that's the only target. We are not checking about other expenses. We are not checking about other ways to, let's say creatively market, brand or anything. It's just the 50% sales as a turnover the company is expecting, and everybody's supposed to follow. So space for creativity and new ideas is restricted. Technically, it's almost nil. And it is undertaken by leaders who primarily target to get the job done. So the purpose is wholly solely to get the job done in a certain way, in a certain fixed, methodology that has been defined, and that's what how the subordinates are supposed to follow. Then we have the participative or democratic leadership. It's a two-sided approach. So initiates team responsibility, because the team can now make a choice whether X. So I mean, a choice between whatever the limited things have been finalized, whether this or that. It allows liberal thoughts and discussions. Authority is with the leader, yet the authority stands with the top position, that is the leader. And it develops, the connect with the team helps boost team motivation. Coming about the last leadership style that we have, that is delegative or laissez-faire. So the leader allows subordinates to take their decisions. They are open to take their decisions in whatever manner they want. Enhances motivation by delegating work with authority. So the work is being delegated, but then they have the ownership to make decisions as well. Then the teamwork strengthens for sure, because the team here is now in an active role and not playing a passive role like the authoritative style. Allows leader more time and opportunity to judge the capabilities of various team members in various capacities. So there basically the performance analysis can happen very, very easily. So they're coming towards almost the end, since the time doesn't really allow. So skills and best practices. What are the certain tips for improving leadership effectiveness? The first one, I will talk about the behavior and the recommended behaviors. So listening is an important key for you to be a great communicator. If you're not a great listener, you can't be a great communicator. So intensively listen to what others have to say. Determine the true cause of performance problems. If you're not open to what is happening around in the team and you're just the only one speaking, that means it's not a two-way communication. So you can't come to the solutions as to why did the problem occur. Then examine, think through problems from all perspectives. One has to hold a 360-degree helicopter view. Do not play favorites and find solutions that benefit everyone involved. We usually start having that biasness towards people whom we like in the team, or maybe have a certain relationship with those. I think that is not the only way out. You have to be unbiased towards everybody and play a very neutral role wherein you understand everybody's perspective. Assist, help others to learn from mistakes and errors. It is a great way for you to be a great leader, to help people identify the problem, what went wrong and how could have they done it better, what are the possible solutions, help them brainstorm, probe them, and then help them get onto the right track and make decisions, and you know cut down on the errors if possible. Develop, explain the rationale for decisions and implement fair policies and procedures. It is important to develop a rationale for whatever the SOPs that are followed in the company. Encourage, provide employees with the resources needed to do a job, and gently push people to advance into more demanding roles. So you don't have to, I mean, the key to leadership is you're not the only one who has to lead the pack all the time. Instead, we have to generate future leaders. So if there is somebody who can step into your role, only then can you move ahead into the hierarchy. So it's important for you to create leaders. We have to generate more leaders in the team and not just put them down and only we are the one who's doing it, because we also know everything today is interlinked. There is a lot of interdependency in everything that we do. So it's important for us to generate leaders. And the last being recognize, praise people for their good work, focus on the positive whenever possible. It's important for you to recognize people for what they do. And I remember one of my bosses always said, do not take too much time in recognizing the efforts of people in the team, because by the time you recognize, it just dilutes the basic purpose. If you want to motivate your team member, the moment something is done that is great, give them a kudos there and then. And at the same time, constructive feedback is very important. Follow the sandwich technique. So the first top bread, fill it with a layer of positivity. The filling that we have is something that is to be full of constructive feedback. And the last layer again is something which doesn't demotivate them because of the constructive feedback, which needs a lot of improvement. Instead, it leaves a positive hope and a motivation in them that they can do better. So I think this is one such great example, The Ordinary Heroes of the Taj Hotel. This is one of such documentaries by Rohit Deshpande at TEDx New England. So you can go to the internet and explore that. I think this is the best documentary of leadership and organizational behavior, wherein the employees of Taj Hotel, even the cooks and the chefs who were not trained for such roles, they were the ones who became the heroes. And I think there was nothing that they considered over the safety of the guests. So I think this is one such best example. So I think that is all from my side. Thank you, everybody. If any doubts or anything so far, so you can reach me out on LinkedIn at my handle with the name Mahima Sindhi. So I think over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very clear, straightforward talk on the leadership in you, or the leader in you, and how to develop it. Required very, very much uh, throughout the spectrum. And we don't have any questions, ma'am. So before we leave, good evening, everybody. I request you to watch our detox from our disruptive literacy movement by Global Dream, which is an initiative by Dr. Sunita Gandhi since 2014. The whole idea is to ensure everyone's participation by a people's movement in ensuring basic, fundamental, foundational literacy and numeracy by all of us, and to ensure that the gap between the haves and the have-nots is bridged to a great extent, and it's a very noble cause. And if we can make everybody in India literate, fundamentally literate, it would be a great experience for all of us and help the entire nation. We have several talks on this every day. And for the talks that you would like to tune into, please go to 740-840-1000. So thank you, Mahima ma'am. And
Thank you.
good evening, everybody, and goodbye. See you again tomorrow. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.